Joining me right now is Missouri Congressman and House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for being here this morning.
It's great to be with you, Maria.
You put out a statement yesterday saying the congressional subpoena Hunter Biden received was not a suggestion. He is required to sit for a deposition on December 13th. Do you care if it's public or behind closed doors?
You know, that's exactly right. The congressional subpoena to Hunter Biden was not a suggestion. It's a requirement. He needs to sit for those depositions just like Don Jr. did multiple times before Congress, just like the two IRS whistleblowers. They sat for 15 hours of depositions before they ever came to a public testimony. I want Hunter to have a public testimony, but I also believe it's extremely important that we get answers to numerous questions that lead to Joe Biden, and Hunter Biden can answer those.
So you think you'll be able to get more information in a closed-door hearing rather than a public hearing, right? Nancy Mace was telling us earlier one of the issues is that in a public hearing, every lawmaker gets 5 minutes and then you're on to the next thing. You can't really do follow-ups.
That's a big concern, is that you have 5 minutes to the Republican, 5 minutes to the Democrat, back and forth, and you can't do follow-ups. You run out of time, and you can't get to the basis of the questions. Let's do the depositions. Let's release the depositions for the American public and can see every question that was asked, what was presented, and then have him come before public testimony. But we need hours of public depositions in order to move forward.
Well, what have you learned so far that you believe is the most damning piece of evidence which suggests potential bribery on the part of Joe Biden?
I think there's numerous things that we're looking at. First and foremost, when President Biden was vice president, his son, Hunter Biden, got a lucrative contract to work at a Ukraine company called Burisma just for access to his father. Then we also know that President Biden said that he knew nothing about his son's business dealings. We know that that's not true. He then said he wasn't involved in his son's business dealings. We know that that's not true. We actually have evidence that's coming forward showing that he, in fact, probably benefited himself from his son's business dealings. Jamie Comer released 2 different checks, one of $200,000 and one of $40,000 from James Biden. Joe Biden says that it was a loan repayment. Well, guess what? If you look at the public tax returns that Joe Biden released, there is nothing in those public returns showing any interest income for any loans. So the president needs to answer these questions.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been trying to dig in on specific decisions that Joe Biden made as vice president, which perhaps he could have gotten paid for. I mean, we spoke to Nancy Mace earlier, and she says it's north of $50 million, which this family has taken in. What were they being paid for? And, you know, there's an awful story around the hostage release in Israel. Abigail Moore Idan, one of the many young children released by Hamas over the last 3 days, the first American toddler released on Sunday. She has dual citizenship, American-Israeli. I mean, her story is a travesty. She's an orphan. She watched her parents get murdered by these monsters. Thank God she has been released. But we also learn that her family is major donors to President Biden, and that her aunt actually bought Hunter Biden's art. I mean, of course we want Abigail to get released and to be home with her family, and that we're all praying and thanking God for. But why was she the first one? Because she had this connection to Biden?
You know, we're glad she's released, but it's an interesting web of what we have been uncovering, both in judiciary oversight and Ways and Means. Let me just give you an example of a Hollywood attorney named Kevin Morris, donor of President Biden. There's documentations from the IRS whistleblowers that showed more than $2 million this Mr. Morris paid of Hunter Biden's tax penalties,
right?
Taxes that he was owed, and said it was a loan. Really? Why would you do that for someone you didn't know just in the first few months of the presidential election in 2020? Was it to protect Joe Biden? Was it a campaign? Was it a way to help the campaign? There's a lot of things to look at. It's interesting on the web that continues to flow within the Biden family.
So what are the priorities away from this, Congressman? The Senate, of course, is gearing up for a showdown over the president's $106 billion foreign aid proposal. Republicans are pushing to add stricter border security measures or put new rules in place at the border. I don't know why you all are talking about sending money to the border. I didn't think money was what was needed there. Instead, it's really policy changes.
Maria, money is not what is needed at the border. It's real policy changes, whether it's remain in Mexico, looking at Title 42, catch and release. These are things that have to be addressed in order to fix the border. We've seen more than 6.4 million illegals cross the southern border since Joe Biden's became president. That's more than the entire population of my home state of Missouri. That is unacceptable, but we need those strong border policies in any proposal that moves forward.
And the priorities going into year end for you right now?
We're looking at, hopefully, an end-of-year tax package. There hasn't been one, Maria, in almost 3 years. We're trying to help deliver on some of the things that have expired in the tax code that has put tax increases on small businesses and working families. So
you're going to try to reverse that and ensure that taxes do not go up then?
That's exactly what our intention is.
Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much.
It's great to see you, Maria.
All right, Chairman.